This is absolutely Essendon. It's our match review. Bombers versus the Cats. Oh yeah, we lost 77 points, and arguably the scoreboard was flattering to Essendon. We are sliding out of the 8 with a bullet, sitting at 8th, barely on percentage. But that game, it's a game that lends itself to overreaction. So I'm not saying we're not going to overreact, but we are definitely not going to underreact. That I can guarantee you.
Sure. Speak for yourself. Look, I think the one really, really good thing that came out of this game was the fact that I didn't buy tickets to go and see it.
Right. Okay.
And
it's always positive.
Yep. And thank you to the construction company that's building the stand, the new stand down at Cardinia Park.
It's behind
it's so
the
behind
timeline.
Over
budget.
Schedule. Otherwise, I would have had to have gone if it had been finished.
Over budget and behind.
So
behind
I
time.
do applaud the handful of Essendon supporters that made the perilous trip down the highway.
Yeah, good on you.
To support a team that unfortunately did not support you.
What a drive home for them.
Well,
what a terrible
if you were
drive
lucky
home.
enough, imagine the train trip back
Oh.
also. So I think I mentioned in our previous video about having gone down, the last time I went and watched the Bombers play down there was
Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, Tim Watson was still playing for the side.
Right.
Now I know why I don't go down there anymore. So it was a horror show, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to make a quick mention about... I know. I'm going to make a quick mention about our ability to champion our great players who play milestone games.
You mean celebrate their milestones.
So you can
Yes.
say celebrate. I just had a quick look back through the history of our club's performances on milestone games.
How does it look?
It is appalling. It is like a Stephen King book. It's so scary. The ability for our guys to rise to meet the challenge
Is non-existent?
in order to celebrate the milestones. In this case, it was Zach Merritt's 200, as we all know.
Yeah.
But we only have to think back as recently as Dyson's 200.
Yeah.
And
was
on and
last
on it
year.
goes.
Yeah, it wasn't
You know,
great.
poor old Dustin Fletcher. We
Yeah.
lost on his 300 and we lost on his 400. So
that's
we
the way.
we have a habit of ridiculing our great players' milestone games. Can we please not do that anymore? I think it's embarrassing for poor old Zach to be carried off on the shoulders.
Yeah.
I think it was...
It was embarrassing.
Yeah, who was it? Stringer and someone else carried him off.
Yeah.
And I could see the look on the poor guy's face. It was like,
Yeah.
please, let's
Yeah,
not do that.
come on.
Anyway, so that's it. Just thought I'd mention that one. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So we were worried after playing Geelong earlier this year. They got the jump on us. So strong in the midfield. Tomahawk dominated.
Yeah.
We were hoping for a different result. Yeah. But I reckon within how many seconds did you have that feeling in the gap?
So I think my feeling of anxiety kind of rose to the surface at about the 36-second mark of this game.
Right, that soon.
And I'm really not trying to be smart in saying that. There was just immediate early warning signs of lethargy, of a team that was playing with fear, and a side that really didn't know how to take on this particular opponent. And it was a couple of intercept marks very early in the game, literally in the first minute, and then a goal to Brian the Rat Myers.
Yes.
One of the personalities of our show. We love him.
We do love him.
On his 100th game.
Yeah, they celebrated that.
They
all
sure
right, didn't
did.
They?
And
the Tomahawks 250th
was it
as well,
or his 9,000th goal versus Essendon game?
Probably. Yeah.
But Brian Myers slipped under a tackle from Mason Redman as if he was wearing that cloak that the hobbits wore in the Lord of the Rings, that invisibility cloak.
Right.
And snuck through, kicked a goal, and from that minute onwards, it was like game over.
Yeah.
It was that obvious we were not going to be playing that night.
Yeah.
No need to
It just
turn
seemed
up.
to be too easy.
Yeah.
He had so much space, so much time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the space was quite congested, but the lack of physicality on the part of our
But
guys...
it looked like he had a green field in front of him.
He might as well have, like an open runway, just stroll on
Please.
through. Yeah, all the green signals were on and he just ran straight through our defence. And they continued to do that for most of the night, unfortunately. So,
So-
early warning signs were not great.
So I mean, what worried me, even just at the start of the game, when you just that they were showing Chris Scott in the coach's box, just a minute before the game, and he was just walking around that coach's box, giggling with everyone in the. I'm like, what's he so relaxed about?
It's like a cruise.
Yeah, exactly.
He's cruising the Mediterranean.
It was just like poker night down at with the boys.
Had no concern about the pending game, the
I'm like-
gladiatorial contest.
And there's a part of you that goes, well, you're going to rue that. But
yeah,
no.
smart ass. Yeah,
Four-
take it seriously.
4 minutes in, I saw why he was so relaxed.
What did he do at the 4th minute, mate?
Well, feet were up.
Right.
He was reading a book.
Aldous Huxley or
something
nice cocoa.
something quite dense.
Someone
actually.
grabbed my slippers and smoking jacket. So he wasn't really too concerned. Imagine the Sunday night dinner at the Scott house after that. I reckon Brad was probably on cleaning the dishes duty that night.
Yeah. He didn't even want to be around his older brother. Because there's nothing more annoying than an older brother at the best of times.
I mean, it would have been only a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Because they are twins.
Oh, yeah, but he's at least 5 minutes older, I heard.
Who?
Yeah,
Chris.
right, okay, I got that wrong.
All right,
yes,
fair enough.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Are you sure?
I mean, does it really mean you're older if you come out 5 minutes later?
Yeah, it does.
All right. So Brad Scott going up against his brother. I've got to say, Brad, you might want to grab some notes from Chris. How to coach would be a good start.
Oh, jeez, mate.
No, look, I'm sorry, but
we're talking about. I said I promised not too much overreaction, and we've got. A few weeks ago, didn't we do a video saying "Arise, Sir Bradley"? That was the title it was given.
He got demoted temporarily.
Right. Okay.
And on that point, he was re-promoted to Sir Bradley after the performance against the Adelaide Crows, where I thought, we played arguably our best game of football in the 21st century. 2000 grand final, although 2000 is actually still in the the 20th century.
That's right.
Anyway, but we played a fantastic game against the Crows, and look, we all thought it was going to be a tough assignment against the Cats, but nobody ever thought it would be the capitulation that we witnessed.
That was. We were witches' hats. I hate to be rude and disrespectful to our team, but come on, it was there was just not a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Not a lot of pushback.
It's just so disappointing, isn't it, to go... the fact that we all anticipate classic Essendon capitulation is the underlying problem with the culture at this football club, is that you can put on a show like the Adelaide game, and now a lot of people are even questioning whether it was that impressive.
Yeah, well, because they got with those so close in the end, and given the fact that they lost to GWS at home on the weekend as well, raises question marks.
So, I think then to go literally 7 days or whatever it was and see that performance against the Cats. I just want to say about this Geelong problem. Because
their streak, it's not just a streak, it's a streak of domination of just ragdolling us.
We're 23 years into this century, and the Bombers have only won 3 times in the last 23 games, or maybe 4 times in the last 23 games against this team. I don't think there is a poorer record against any other side. Yeah. So what is it about Geelong?
It's the hoops, mate.
The hoops.
They're scary things, the hoops.
You think that? I mean, there's some validity in that comment, actually.
Well, I mean, I think when they see the red sash...
I mean, you think black and red is scary. Theirs is a bit sort of like fancy. It's like, But the hoops do make them look bigger.
Yeah.
How
Gives them girth.
When you're going out, you never wear horizontal stripes.
Yeah, that's right.
It does make you
It adds
fatter.
7 kilos.
And they do look bigger. But I think not only do they look bigger, they are bigger.
Yeah.
And you could see the fear in our players' eyes when they were confronting some of these big-bodied Geelong midfielders, defenders, and, of course, the Tomahawk.
Yes. Shall we spend some time on the positives?
Okay. All right, well, thanks for watching.
All right. Let's go to the negatives
right
then.
Along. Well, no, seriously. I just wanted one more thing I want to say about the Geelong... what would you call it? The Geelong problem? What is the issue with Geelong?
Right.
Just another interesting statistic.
Enigma.
In our last 3 games against Geelong, if you combine the total scores from just the first quarter, so 3 first quarter totals, they've kicked 20 goals to our 4. Are we learning anything to
Yeah.
quote the great John Worsfold.
Yeah.
Are there
Learning.
learnings?
There's been no learnings on that front.
Because what's going on? Surely we know they're going to come at us like a steam train, and it's like we've lost the game before it starts.
Yeah.
There's just this mindset that we have playing this bloody side. And to quote my son, he just said, excuse the language, folks, fuck off, Geelong. We've had enough of you. And I think we all have. You've had your time in the sun. Go. Let someone else enjoy, time in this competition.
Right.
If they get up to win the grand final this year, I'm going to go, that's it. I've had enough of this competition. Go away.
So our way of responding to Essendon's poor performance is to...
Be childish.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm good with that.
Yep.
This channel's built on that.
That's an interesting point that I can't see on the computer screen.
Okay, all right. Let me bring that back up.
There it is.
Even the.
Jesus, you could have taken those
so,
photographs off.
Okay, so we started slow, got slower.
Yeah.
It was boys against men.
Yeah.
Very much seemed like that.
Yeah. Although I think we can at least point to a couple of good performances, and I'd like to single out Nick Bryan. What did you think of his game? Because I know you were a keen student of the art of rucking.
Yes.
You have a lot of rucking opinions.
He looked fairly good. I
Right.
suppose just where I get frustrated, and this brings up the whole topic of the value of a ruckman.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
No, yeah, you were. Yeah, you just went zzz, and you knew I'd take the bait. Zzz, zzz. So
we're going to need a bigger boat.
Look, yes, he did well. He did well, and I think he should stay in the side.
He never leaves.
But boy, in the centre, it just didn't seem to give us any.
Well,
it didn't seem to give us any advantage.
Yeah, I think this is more...
What's the problem with that?
That's more of an indictment on our midfielders than the ruckman. I think the fact that we are not able to contest effectively against guys like Dangerfield speaks volumes of the lack of physicality in our mids. They're a little bit smaller on average. Setterfield is, I think, sorely missed from this side because he was good in the first part of the year. With a slightly bigger frame, and we need that kind of guy. But I think Brian was a really positive outcome.
Any others?
Yeah, look, I would like to throw a little bit of an honourable mention to Hobbsy.
Yes, true.
The Goblin.
Very, very true. The Hobgoblin. He's always in there, trying, running backwards and forwards. You're right.
He's been a fantastic player for us this year.
Yes.
I don't think we need to go on about him too much. We already have.
But so excited and continue to be excited even in a game like that.
Yeah.
Because he shone through.
He played with the enthusiasm's not the right word, but the commitment, I guess, that was sadly lacking from so many of our
very much.
more senior players.
He was just everywhere, and I saw him go right back down to the last line of defence, and it was like, what are you doing back there? But just saving another goal from many. So what about, in general, yes, the turnovers?
Oh.
There was a few.
Yeah.
And...
there was a few.
What was that? Because it was happening on the handballing front. It was definitely happening on the kicking front. I mean, it looked like we were aiming for Tom Stewart every time we were kicking. It looked like, where is he? Let me find him.
Oh, so that wasn't intentional?
Because it was so...
I thought that was a part of the game plan.
It was giving me stomach ulcers. I just couldn't take it. He just dominated back there. And so our entries...
But he wasn't really taking any contested marks.
No, he was always on his own.
It was just...
It's like he was the only one that knew where the ball was going to go. Everyone was like, oh, maybe...
The Sharon was imprinted on his chest.
It was.
It was that easy for him.
He's got a dint.
Yeah. But the turnovers, I think at one point in that game, and I might get the numbers wrong here, but they'd kicked like 11 goals, 10 or something of that nature. And I think 11 goals, 6 of that had come from turnovers. And on the opposite side of the coin, we'd had 1 point come from turnovers. I mean, that is damning, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
It is. It's total just brute force domination.
Yeah.
And they were finding their men in the forward line, in the forward 50. How many marks did we have in our forward 50?
Yeah, look, at one stage it was... Geelong had 15 inside 50 marks to our 1. I mean, they had 64 inside 50s to 28?
Yeah, they were busy. They were busy down there.
It was just a mauling. I mean, the fact the conditions weren't great was probably what saved us from a 100-point thrashing. I mean, it was close enough.
Yeah, it was.
But again, on the conditions, inability to adapt to, the damp. It wasn't raining as much, but the ground was very wet.
Yeah.
They handled the ball like it was a sunny day. We were just floundering. I mean, I know we don't want to just bag them all through this episode, but it just has to be said. Why are we so incapable of handling a slightly wet football? It was the same in the Fremantle game.
Yeah, that's true. We fell apart. We did fall apart in that game.
Is that a thing of playing in the hangar? Do you think that we're just not getting enough exposure to the difficult conditions that you have to play in the open?
It could be. We need to get down there. We've promised an expose for a while.
Did I say hangar? I meant Marvel.
Oh, is that
saying playing under the roof?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant because they're training under the roof.
No,
possibly.
Yeah.
It's because they play a lot of games down at Marvel.
That's right. Sorry, that's what I was meaning.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, it was just all round a game to forget. Unfortunately, I'm still remembering it.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I'm sort of still struggling. With
I haven't slept since. It's just been nightmare central, and so. We come to the players that could be coming in. I mean, even though a lot of players had a horror night.
Or going out. Which, do you want to start with going out?
Well, yes. If any should, or you would just say it was just a collective bad performance, or do we still want to
I think,
single people out?
I think the weed train is leaving platform 2. And I don't think it's coming back, to be quite honest with you. I think that train is going to depart.
Yeah.
And finally, it sounds like the hierarchy have recognised that.
Brad Scott was still defending him, but not as vehemently as previous weeks. He still said, because previously he'd sort of said, he's playing an important role, and we were like, what? The Invisible Man. But this week he sort of said, things haven't been working out. He's not doing his best. And, of course, they put him down back, see if he could help out there. It's what's just bewildering is that you've got players in the VFL like Baldwin who... Yeah, sure, might come in, might make some mistakes, but he's just always trying.
Well, he looked very comfortable in the couple of games he played earlier in the year.
And he competes hard. Like, he really does half the contest. You can count on it.
Yeah.
You can count on it. And then, people like Voss that are waiting.
Yeah.
So
Keep waiting.
When you've got guys that you just need to sort of, weed is like trying to start a moving train, unfortunately.
Oh, that train's left.
And that, we're going to mix up our metaphors today. Whereas those guys, you've got to pick them up, put them on the right track.
Jeez, can we just move on?
Yeah, all right. Okay. All right, we'll let that.
But no, look, I mean, I'm not going. Again, let's just stress nothing personal against the guy.
No.
This is professional sport, and we're going to comment on players not performing. And if look, Mrs. Wiedemann, please don't take it personally. We're sure he's a lovely boy, but he's not.
Are we talking about his wife or his mum? Is he? Maybe his mum.
I don't know if he's married, but I'm sure he's got a mother.
Sure.
Well, I hope so.
Yes.
And I just hope that all the close friends and family of Sam understand this is not a personal attack. A bit of time in the VFL will be the proper tonic for him, and to continue with him now when his confidence must be at an all-time low, it's just cruel. I mean, the coaches have really cocked this up. This one's on Brad Scott. I think in his determination to prove everybody wrong on Sam Wiedemann, he's actually done more damage. And I think if Brad's going to make it as a coach at this football club, it's reward players who deserve to be in the side, and everyone accepts that.
Yeah.
But if you're not performing, you've got to be expected to do some time in the reserves, and that's all it is. So I think Sam's got to make way for someone, and I think there's a couple of other players that would be borderline. But when you look at the VFL side, and we'll talk about this in our preview for the Western Bulldogs game.
Yes,
there's some guys really pressing now to come back into that side, including and I'm quite excited by this. Elijah Sartis, again, had a fantastic game in the reserve. So Nick Cox, I think, was pulled in the last quarter of the VFL game.
So you think that could be a sign?
Maybe. Maybe they're just saying, look, okay, he's done enough. Take him off. We don't want to put him at risk. So there could be some changes this week. But definitely the most important change is a change in attitude. We just simply can't play this game against the Bulldogs with the same mental attitude that we had against Geelong.
Yeah. I agree. I'm a little bit worried about it, but I agree. And I just wonder whether last week, coming off that Adelaide win, were they drinking their own...
Sure.
What is it? Drinking the Kool-Aid? Drinking your own bathwater?
Something like
what's
that.
the metaphor?
Something like that, yeah.
Believing your own press?
That's probably the one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's no question that does filter through. And, there was a lot of hype about the Bombers in the media leading up to the game against Geelong.
Yeah. And now perhaps a little undeservedly so.
Well, as it turns out.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
I don't know what more we can we can say about that horror show on the weekend, but
well, the test of this team is now how they respond, right? And we said that after the Port Adelaide game.
Yeah, we did,
and they did respond. So again, that's probably going to be the test. Is how
the difference
well we
being is that Port Adelaide game, there was a lot to take from.
There's a bit of heart in that.
It was. It was a great performance.
True.
Whereas this was not.
Sad.
Yes.
Well, I don't think we'll be heading down to Geelong in any hurry, and for that I'm grateful.
Right.
My feelings on anything outside of the Melbourne metropolitan area.
Right. Just
negative. Pretty much so.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, I think that's all for today.
It is.
So thank you so much for watching, and sorry it's been a bit of a meltdown at our end.
It has, but probably to be expected. So hopefully...
Leave some comments, guys. Tell us what you think. If you think we're overreacting or if you agree with us, please let us know.
Yes, we do get a lot from the comments. We have just great insight that comes from those. So do not be shy. Comment below.
I actually come to the Absolutely Essendon comment section to learn a lot about the game. It really is helpful.
Hey, it's true.
Some guy actually, to digress, you mentioned about the Dodoro story when they were drafting Zach Merritt.
Yes.
Someone actually who was friends.
In terms of the Jackson Merritt.
The Jackson Merritt and the whole draft.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
We love that.
Very, very good.
Thank you indeed.
All right, so bye for now, I guess.
Yes, thanks for watching.
See you soon.
See you
Cheers.
soon.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.